Today's video is on the law of cosine. There are three formulas to use the law of cosine. Let's write all three of them now, and then you'll just copy. There are three formulas here, but they all pretty much mean the same thing. I'm going to read through the one in orange. It says c squared, side c lowercase, equals a squared plus b squared. It's kind of like the Pythagorean theorem. But then you're going to subtract 2 times a times b, those are the sides, times the cosine of the angle of C. The same thing applies for a squared equals and b squared equals, where you're adding the squares of the other two sides and subtracting 2 times those two sides times the cosine of that side we're trying to find. Another important thing about law of cosine is that we use it when we have all three sides. When all three sides are given, that's when we use it as compared to law of law of cosine compared to law of sine. And we also use it when we have a side, an angle, and a side. So the angle is in between the two sides. Let me show you a visual example. Let's say we're given this side here, and let's say we're given this side here. And then we're given the angle right here in between. Then we use law of cosine instead of law of sine. What you have to good at and practice at is identify from what's given on the triangle, would it be easier to use law of cosine, or is it possible to use law of sine? Start with example number 1. The first thing you should do when you have a triangle is label your angles A, B, and C. And then let's also label the sides. A is across from angle A, B is across from angle B, and then side C is across from angle C. Since we're looking for side C in this example, or it could be different depending on how you labeled your triangle, I'm going to use that first formula of c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. And that's the first formula that I gave. We also know that we're going to use law of cosine because we're given a side and another side, and then the angles in between right here. So that's how we know to use law of cosine. Now we can just simply fill in what we know. We don't know angle C, but we know angle A, or side A, plus side B, minus 2 times A, I'm going to put that in parentheses, times B, times the cosine of the angle C, in this case, 71 degrees. Now we just go straight across and simplify. Simplify 23 squared, 9 squared, and then I also simplified this multiplication. 2 times 23 times 9 is 414. And then I did the cosine of 71 to be 0.325. Remember, when you do order of operations, you do the addition subtraction left to right at the end, but here we still have some multiplication to do. We have 0.325 times 414 to be 134.55. I'm going to rewrite everything back down in the same order. And then I'm going to do my addition and subtraction left to right. So 529 plus 81 minus 134.55. So c squared equals 475.45. And here's a big mistake. Some people leave your side just like that. But when you're looking at terms of the triangle, that would be a pretty huge side. We have one more thing to do, and we have to take the square root to have c to equal 21.8. That makes a lot more sense. Questions you have on how we got that? And then we're going to do another problem where we're given all three sides. 6 gives us all three sides, plus we also have to draw the triangle. So I'm going to draw my triangle first, label it L, M, and N, and then I have the sides to put in. LM is 25, MN is 20, LN is 24, and here we have to find our angle, in this case find angle L. So replacing L, M, and N in for A, B, and C, let's just write L is going to be C, M is going to be A, and then And actually, I should write that probably as a capital. M is going to be A, and then N is going to be B. So just to keep it consistent with the formula. So we have C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of angle C. Let's plug in everything that we know. We know C squared in this case. C is 20. 20 squared equals A squared. In this case, A is opposite angle A, so it's 24 squared. Plus B squared minus 2 parentheses times A. A is 24. Side B is 25. And this is a tricky problem because we don't know the angle of C, in this case L. So I'm going to leave it as cosine C. What I did here was simplify the 20 squared, the 24 squared, the 25 squared, and the 2 times 24 times 25. I left the cosine C as it is. Some of you may struggle on how to simplify and finish up this problem. I'm doing this in a different color so it stands out. I'm going to combine my 256 and 225, or 276 and 225. That makes 801 minus 1200 cosine C equals 400. Next thing I'm going to do is subtract my 801 to the other side. So I'm left with negative 401 equals negative 1200 cosine C. And then lastly, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 1200. And I'm going to write that over here. And I'm left with, on the left, a positive point, not 0.0, positive 0.33416. Try to be as exact as possible. And that's going to equal the cosine C. And then last step, since we don't know the angle, I'm going to rewrite it so you can see it. Maybe the purple's a little better. Since we don't know the angle, we're going to type in the calculator cosine inverse of the 0.33416, and we will get our answer. That should come out to be the angle to equal 70.478 about degrees. So that's a little tougher when we're looking for an angle and we're given all three sides. But again, you use law of cosine to find your missing angle and solve appropriately. Write what questions you guys have on the law of cosine, when to use it and how to use it, and have a great night.